You tweeted out yesterday, my friends who died for no reason would be disgusted with this administration. What do you mean?
It's a shame that it's a shame in the first place that so many great people died trying to get like a guy that our American families don't even know the name of them, just unnecessary missions. And so I agree with that's why I didn't want that big of a footprint there anyway, because I did have an admiral tell me in about 2005 there are no IEDs in this country, and I remember talking about the surge. Well, you surge this many, doesn't matter what your intentions are, you look like an occupier, and there will be IEDs in this country, and naturally, because there's so many fewer roads in Afghanistan than there's in Iraq as far as highways, so they're going to bomb us there, which they did, and it frustrates me to see parents of guys that I knew really really well on television talking about it, and they've even said, what were we going after? When a helicopter was shot down, who were we going after? How important was he? And it's just now that the Taliban's back and they're turning the music off and killing women, it's like we never even went there. People basically died for nothing,
Mm. You
other
were
than fighting for the people beside them, which is what it gets down to. Again, I have nothing but respect for the men and women who went to Afghanistan, and a lot of respect for the men and women that are there now. We have it better; they definitely have it a lot worse. But it's every veteran, combat veteran I've talked to just feels empty. It's sadness followed by anger, and then reevaluation, and then retweet.
Oh my gosh. I mean, think about it. That matters. That matters. That kind of thing should be taken into account by leaders like Joe Biden when they're making plans, and leaders like Trump too. I mean, I know you were critical of his negotiating with the Taliban and coming up with this deal. His defenders say at least his planned withdrawal was conditions based. Biden's was explicitly not conditions based. I mean, he made that very clear. We're pulling out no matter what you do, Taliban. So,
Yeah,
enjoy, because we're definitely leaving. And so, I mean, it's almost like, look, there are the people who think we should have left forces there, at least some healthy residual force like we have in places like Japan. And I would say Jack Keane and Mark Thiessen are in that, and Andy McCarthy are probably in that group. We should have left some forces there. You don't need 15,000, but you need a few thousand, maybe 5,000 to keep the peace in a region that is important to us. And then you have people who are, sort of diehard Trump supporters, like I would say Molly Hemingway of the Federalists, who have said this is a sort of a bullshit proposition. This was democracy building. The military generals had been lying to us for years about the strength of the Afghan forces, and of course that's been documented. The Washington Post had an article on the Afghan papers that revealed that people like Rumsfeld and others had been really overstating the rosiness of the Afghan training and how things were going in Afghanistan. Anyway, those people are like, just out. We're out. It's done. And then you have the other people who are maybe in one of those two camps, but whatever your position is, are upset about the way we did it, right? I think most people are upset about what happened over the past 72 hours, how Biden handled the withdrawal. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm not sure exactly what the answer is, but I do think that the withdrawal and what we've seen over the past 3-4 days is an indelible stain on Joe Biden's legacy. And I think it's embarrassed America in a way that will invite further attacks and has actually endangered the security of the American people. What do you think?
Yeah, we're more unsafe today than we were yesterday, and this will be a stain on his legacy, and it should be. This is a big mistake. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're going to send another couple thousand troops in there right now. So we took them out, sent them back in. It's going to be harder because they're going to be embedded and they have our bases and our weapons now. But I mean, more Americans are going to fight. If we're going to get those Americans out of Kabul right now, some Americans are going to have to fight again, and that's men and women from the United States with blood on the ground again. And it's sad to see it. But a lot of times, it's not as cut and dry again as people want it to be. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that are not telling politicians and the public the truth about what's going on the ground. I've heard there's a hundreds of thousands of different experiences. I just know what I've seen. Not there now, but I think we're unsafe.
The president on 9/11, 2001 was George W. Bush. You talked about him saying, and you remembering when you were off to kill bin Laden, President George W. Bush saying, freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. How do you view that comment, that commitment right now?
the commitment's not there because no one really has a stomach for it. We have been there for a long, long time, and I think that there's a lot of factors here, but one is we've let political correctness become the most important thing in everything, including our military, and we just taking our eyes off the ball. It's to fight. Marines don't need to build schools; they need to break things and kill people. And we had it in us, and we kicked everybody's butts when we started. That we started worrying about everything else, and we started worrying about social experimentation. We've taken we don't remember what's important, and then if something is the truth, we'll just lie to each other so we feel better. And we're basing everything off politics and emotion instead of facts. People don't like to hear facts. You can get banned from social media for saying the truth.
Yeah. And what about our generals, Rob? Because I've seen you ask, has anyone resigned yet? Anyone at all? Why do you think that's necessary, and who specifically do you think needs to step down?
I'm just disappointed with the highest level of general officers and admirals in the Pentagon who are just towing the party line because they want that job at a contracting place in 2 years. Keep them, people have a tendency to lie to their boss to make them happy, and there's a lot of that going around. I know enlisted guys that called the Pentagon the five-sided wind tunnel because all it is wind going around. With obviously a lot of taxpayer money they can just waste because it's not theirs. I think that we need to try something new. We haven't been able to win a war since World War II. And I think that what that means is if you get to a certain level, you shouldn't be making decisions without advisors who have at least been on the ground telling you the truth. I think the chairman of the Joint Chiefs should be an 04, a major or a lieutenant commander instead of a 4-star general. And not because, most generals I've met, I love. Really, I think everyone wants to do a good job, but you get to a certain point and you get used to the good old boy network and just start promoting people because you know them and whatever. And it's just, again, loss of focus, loss of leadership, and complete loss of humility.
Wait, did you say that you think the chairman of the Joint Chiefs should be a what?
An 04, a junior officer. It's an 01 through 010, an 04
Okay.
who's been on the ground, who knows the leadership skills, at
Oh.
least advising. I just think it's time for something new. You need to have the captains and majors in there.
What do you think about, what do you think about General Milley?
Well, he has extreme egg on his face. He won't resign, though, because, again, at that level, they just don't
Should he?
care. Yes.
Why?
This is a failure. This is one of the biggest failures in the history of the country. He's the senior officer. Biden said the buck stops here. He should at very least be firing people because someone gave him bad advice at some point, and they all look like wimps.
I don't know. Who knows what happened, but what I read in the papers is that Milley and Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, went to him and said, dude, not a good idea. Don't set September 11th as the withdrawal date. That's the last thing you want to do. Like, you're basically giving the Taliban a photo op. You think you're giving it to yourself. That's what Biden thought, that
Yep.
he's going to have some sort of a victory lap on that day. In fact, it was exactly the opposite, which was foreseeable, and that he overruled them. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's Biden's fault or it's Milley's fault.
Well, it's somebody's fault, and they don't seem to care. If we screw up like this on the ground, we either die or get fired. But they keep their same parking spot.